Okay, so hello guys. Today I have the honor to be the first one. Uh, so my company, as you may know by now, is the Warehouse. My group is Nat, Danny, and sorry, Nat, Diani, and Vanessa. So for today, I'm going to start with the introduction part, and we're going to discuss some of the ways how the brand, in this case the Warehouse, communicate itself with the customers, the products, how they want to visualize themselves in the market. So the first point will be how the Warehouse relate itself to the products and what they represent. So to start with, we can say that they have some common messages, and we cannot skip that. So they actually reinforce these ideas in their communications, making New Zealanders' lives better, a place where you can find bargains, affordable prices, and it's well known all around New Zealand. So, as you may know, the Warehouse is a Kiwi-owned company and based in New Zealand, and they have around 90 nationwide stores. So they also know for us to say here for good, and this is a promise that they just not made in terms of a commercial statement, but also they do this because they mean it, and they try to actually support the New Zealand community by doing things that could help to improve the life of New Zealanders or to resolve issues in New Zealand. So they also like to be seen this way, and this is why they communicate all the time what the issues they're working here. So they also like to provide products that are considered convenient, that solve the needs and wants of the people, and of course they have the lowest price in terms of quality quantity. So here we have to remind that the Warehouse is a retailer store, and they sell a wide range of products. It's not like they just are in the tech sector, but they are selling house items, clothing, tech as well. So they sell a little bit of everything. And finally, we also have to acknowledge the Warehouse as a company that takes care of the planet. They make the promise to reduce the impact with everything they do, and they try to make the planet healthy. As I mentioned, the community is a corner store, and one data that can support that is that last year, according to the annual report, they collect $50 million, New Zealand dollars, of course, to support different causes. One of them is actually they have a safe space in their website to report family violence. They have been working to support menstruation. So I mentioned yesterday they actually launched a campaign in the Warehouse where they have bins around the stores, and people could buy menstruation items like pads and other stuff, and they could just pop in the stores and leave there, and they will take care of the distribution. So they have this quality, quantity, and price balance. So pretty much the customer is getting what they expect, nothing more. The customer for sure knows that this is a company that can provide something that can resolve their needs. It's not at the highest quality, it's not the highest price, but it's something that is just right in the middle. The importance of brand to consumer and manufacturers. We need to understand that for every not just for the Warehouse, but for every company perspective, branding is something that needs to be done because it makes the company visible to the customer, clients, to everyone. And in this case, they want to reinforce themselves As a company that is easy to access, as I mentioned, compared to, and we're going to discuss this later, compared to his competitors, they are the biggest one. So people can find one warehouse pretty much everywhere. So they're easy to access, and it's the biggest retail here in New Zealand. The quality, the balance, the price, and the environment again, and the variety. So as I mentioned, there are two competitors that may be the most important for them in terms of nation, and those will be the Kmart and Farmers. So in terms of coverage, the Farmers have 59 stores around New Zealand, and Kmart, and they say in their website they have 200. But it's overall Australia and New Zealand. So in New Zealand, they actually have 20 stores. So if we compare the coverage they have, so the warehouse for far, it will be the winner because they have 90. So this is something that actually gives reasons to the customer to come to the warehouse. These pie farmers and the warehouse are both Kiwi owned and Kiwi based. It might be if we detail and we scream a little bit into the market and the segments they have, the profile of the customer. Farmers aims to filter a little bit more in terms of price because they will actually sell brands that are not that common to access. But the warehouse sells more generic stuff. The Farmers, you can find something in terms of clothing, you can find designers, or in terms of perfume, you can find designers as well. While in the warehouse, you won't find that because everything is on the same page. It's generic, and people will use more on the daily basis. So Farmers will sell more international brands that could be more expensive, of course. And that's a huge difference between them. So now going to, yes. So now going to brand equity. By now we may know that brand equity is not just focused on the customers and what they think, but also on the value of the brand. And it includes a set of thoughts, belief, perception from the customers. And it's something that is not tangible, but of course it has a outstanding price for the company. And this perception, it's how just basically the customers are seeing the warehouse. It is considered that the higher the brand equity is, of course, it has positive consequences for the brand. They will have more sales, there will be more brand awareness, more market share, and so on. So brand awareness, as I mentioned, is also one of the concepts, and this is just how in people's minds the brand is present. We may know at this point that the warehouse is the biggest retail here in New Zealand, so I think pretty much everyone have heard of the warehouse. And I would like to make a question. When you guys arrived here to New Zealand, how long did you take to recognize the presence of the warehouse in the market? It was, it was quick, it was slow for you, or
What?
Recognizing the warehouse in the market? The warehouse was a company there that was a big company here in New Zealand. How long does it take you to recognize that? You're saying? Yeah.
Like instantaneous.
It was fast. Overall, it was fast. Yes. So, a brand manager can testify that the more brand awareness people have, of course, the sales will increase. More market share, of course. And we can see this with one of those data. Last year, as we may know, was the pandemic situation with the COVID-19 situation. Despite that, they didn't stop selling. And the firm, according to the report in 2020, they report a 103.2% in click and collect sales, and overall was a 55.2% in growth. So it was probably not inside selling, but it was online selling, and they grew despite of the pandemic situation. So these numbers can also be translated as a healthy and good brand equity, because if you know a brand, of course, the more familiar you are, you will easily just buy with them. And now, overall, the situation with the warehouse is good, but of course, they may have some challenges, and of course, they may have some opportunities to face as a company. So some of the challenges and opportunities that we detect is, of course, the increasing competition. And now, as I mentioned, they have two. They have the Kmart and they have Farmer. And despite being number one now, they cannot lose track that the Kmart is an international brand. They have power, and they could increase easily here in New Zealand as well. And they're great competitors in terms of just offering a good deal, offering a good price, and matching the price that actually the warehouse has. And farmers, despite having a slight different market, they could also be a threat, because when the customer wants something that the warehouse is not offering, they will go to farmers. And another thing here is in the increasing competition will be now, and probably we follow news, we may know that New Zealand, after the pandemic situation, not after, but in the midst of this pandemic situation and the management they had with this, they had recently announced that they're willing to have more investors, and international investors here in New Zealand. So this is why it will be like an opening gate for more competitors to come and to compete in the market with the warehouse or other companies in other sectors as well. Another challenge will be ensuring consistency. That means like they offering a standard of quality price. So they will need to ensure to the customer that they will follow and they will continue that line. They will need to be coherent. And it's not like one day you go to the warehouse and then you can buy basics clothing, basics in $10 2 pieces of clothes. Out of the sudden, they will start selling Michael Kors designer clothes, which is not in the price standard. So they need to be coherent and consistent with that path that they have walked. Also, the upcoming technology is a challenge, because they need to maintain themselves updated. Not just internally to provide and support a great service when you go there in a store, but also externally, they will need to provide, for instance, a good website to run, an application to buy, and they will need to provide all those things that are needed to provide an experience and service for the customer to come to the warehouse again. Some opportunities, a well-defined integrated marketing and communication strategy. They actually are doing great. There are some things that they could do better, of course. But overall, we can see how the messages of the warehouse are all connected. They have a bottom line. They're consistent with it during the time. And they are using both online platforms and offline platforms. So for instance, they will have printed catalog. They have it online as well. They're using social media to promote themselves. And they're always communicating the values of the company. And this is another point. In case of the warehouse wants to brand itself over geographic boundaries and new segment, what should they do? So, as we may know, this is a Kiwi-owned company based in New Zealand, and now this is the main field of action they have. But in case they want to do this, Initially, they will need to make some major research. That's something that will be wise. That will the first step, something that cannot be skipped. And after, they will need to decide, after knowing the audience, they will need to decide which sector they want to point to and they want to delimitate. Identify the competitors as well. That's something that cannot be avoided because you cannot enter to a market without knowing who is in there. So it is vital to recognize the competitors. Of course, we after deciding competitors, how's the market, prices, income of people, knowing everyone, it's also important to know the culture, customs, the actions, belief, points of view, how they see the world, how they behave, their habits as well. And it is essential for every company that wants to stand the geographic boundaries to create awareness. So it's basically make noise before going to a place. So they will announce themselves, and the company will create this expectation in people. So people will know a new company is coming. Another thing here will be not to reinforce that much in a foreign market that they are Kiwi on because or New Zealand on because that's not a label or yet attack that actually matter in a foreign market. So it just will be better to emphasize on the prices, the quality, and other features they may have. That's oh.
Well done, and thank you for your time. And just a couple of things.